What's up? It's Friday once again. It's Invisible Walls, episode 68. Next week, big episode 69. Unfortunately, I have some bad news. The episode has been canceled by the ESRB.
Oh, you better tell him that's a joke. I think
That is a joke. We are back from Comic-Con. It was a crazy week and weekend there. We're going to get to that in a little bit. But before that, let's get the rundown of people who are going to be talking to you today. As always, Marcus Beer to my left.
Hat.
Justin Spears on the show today, the Quiet Storm.
Yo.
Ryan Stevens,
Hey.
not running audio this week, just a full member of the panel.
Thank God.
We do have a small crew here today.
Well, we will have Patrick Morales, who you may know as a fighting games fan, joining us later on to talk about Comic-Con as well.
Anyway, episode 68, here we go. All right, first we're going to talk about Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2. Boy, they're really starting to tack on the extras onto that name there.
It's Sigma is like its own series now, I guess. They have
Yeah.
the Sigma line.
It should be called like Ninja Gaiden Sigma, here's a port with an extra character, right?
Actually, it's a port with several new characters and a new co-op mode. So they actually have, to me, just playing with, we got Momiji, who is a Dragon Sword character, and Ayane, the Dead or Alive chick. And even just having two characters playing through different missions. I haven't talked exactly how they're going to integrate that into the story, but I believe you'll kind of trade off. You'll play through as Ryu, Hayabusa, and then you'll get to a certain point, and then it'll be like, okay, this character. And it's tough to tell how much new content they're actually putting in there. But just the new characters so far seems really cool, and we haven't been able to.
Was it not
get our
like the
hands on
first
playable
Sigma where the
Rachel.
extra character has new missions that sort of worm in and out of the main storyline like Rachel did in the first Sigma?
I think it will be like that, and Rachel is in this one as well.
What does she do? Is she just a bit character or do you play as her?
She's playable. Not playable to us so far. We just had it was kind of a cut down demo. It had specific areas for each character, and it had the cooperative missions, which you can play online or offline with AI. And that's just like challenge mode out of the old games.
Right, so the
There's a
cooperative
series of
play in
areas.
this is just for the challenge mode.
It's just for the.
You
just for the
cannot
challenge
play
mode.
through the single player campaign with a friend.
I think that's pretty much the line. Yeah.
Can you do, is it just playing simultaneously, or can you guys, do moves together or anything?
There is one
Yeah,
kind
team
of
up
proper
attacks.
team-up move where if you both do magic at the same time and you're in the same area, it'll call down a big ninja justice bolt from the sky
you
and
have to be kinda
freaking evaporate
simultaneous?
everyone. It gives you a little window to kind of
mags
do it.
PSO. Okay.
Yeah. And anytime someone's launched, if you hit some of your buttons that correspond to beating someone's ass that's stuck up in the air, you can kind of get.
So if the other person playing
Alternating
juggles
attacks
someone
together.
up in the air, you can jump in and actually finish the combo.
That's what it seems to be
You
like.
guys
So you can
share the combo
you can hit
count?
people at the same time. I think there is no actual combo counter in the mission mode. There's just
Okay.
the karma counter, which is basically your score, how well you're doing.
Do they up the difficulty when two people are playing? Do enemies have more hit
Well, the
points or
mission modes are
anything?
brutal. If
The
they're
mission
anything
modes are
like
really
Sigma.
mean. It's just like a gauntlet of here's a bunch of enemies.
Are they co-op specific,
designed
though?
to kick your ass. What's that?
I mean, is it you can only play these in co-op, or is it when you play
You can
co-op?
play
they
them
have-
by yourself before.
Do they have more health or more enemies or anything?
In this build, it's all like you can go to mission mode and there's team missions.
Oh, okay,
unlocked.
so
So
it's
this is
specific.
kind of we're just seeing this specific content, and they're like, hey, check it out.
Now, is that online, the co-op missions?
It's you can play it offline, but only with the computer. There's no split screen or anything like that. So if you want to actually play co-op with another person, you get on to PSN and hook up with your pal and then do some missions.
Now, let's face it, most people are going to buy this to play the single-player campaign. I really liked the single-player campaign. There was a couple issues that I had with it. The difficulty was completely uneven. You'd have these weird difficulty spikes. The game would get really easy for a couple hours, then it would become impossible. Have they smoothed that out? Because I know when I was at Tokyo Game Show last year, I hung out with them for dinner, and they had mentioned that was one thing that they were thinking of addressing when they fixed the game.
They might be looking at it, but what we have now is kind of a select version of the game. It's like you play through one area with this character, one area with that character. And it's
Gotcha.
cool to see, but I can't really get an idea of the flow of it or what they've actually changed from the past stages. I'm not even sure if the stages they're giving us are the stages where you'll be able to play the new characters. So, it's just kind of more of a sampler. But yeah, the new characters are cool. They have a lot of
Now the one
cool
chick has
moves.
like a light post or something. I don't even know what that is.
It's a naga. It's a naginata. It's basically like a pole arm with like a cutting blade on the end of it. But you can do.
It looks like there's a
more you
lamp
know.
on the end of it.
It has. I guess it has a huge ass counterweight because it's a huge ass blade. But yeah, it is pretty mean.
Can
Yeah.
the new weapons
It's
be
like
used
death on a
by
stick.
everyone or characters?
No, they
specific?
have a whole. They have basically the set of weapons for you that he had in the old game. They did add the cannon, or the big matchlock gun or something. But so that's in there. We have a shot in the preview. It's kind of cool. But the new characters are just like their default weapon, their default magic. But everyone will have several different magics, I think, and several different weapons that are character specific. So they feel pretty different to play as.
One thing I think is interesting about that series in general is that people always complain about the camera, and I'm no different. In our review, I mentioned the camera's a problem. Marcus is raising his hand right now.
The camera drives me back.
And I always wonder why they never fixed the camera. But I think I have figured out why they don't fix the cameras, because I think to them, they don't think it's broken. Because if you watch the guys from Team Ninja play Ninja Gaiden, they don't really play it like anyone else. They use a lot of charge-up attacks that will wipe out enemies in one swipe or wipe out several enemies at once. And I think because they always play it that way, they don't think there's anything wrong with it. But we always play it the other way.
They
I
have
don't know. I
fixed
think
the
I
camera.
played
Do
with
you
a lot of
remember
charge attacks.
The
If you
very,
remember
very,
that.
the very first Ninja Gaiden on the Xbox, they released the Hurricane Pack,
Yeah.
which was because back then Microsoft said you couldn't patch stuff,
Right.
and it was like added content and big camera patch.
Yeah.
So I mean, they have made adjustments in the past.
But I mean, a lot of people complain with Ninja Gaiden 2 on the 360 that the camera was borderline broken. Have you seen any adjustments to the camera so far based upon your playtime?
I don't know. I'm one of the people. I guess it didn't bother me so much to begin with. I mean, games like Devil May Cry or whatever. If you're coming off that, sometimes you run into fixed camera angles, and I guess you deal with it. It didn't seem too bad to me. They do have a cool feature where you hold the R1 button. I think I accidentally wrote bumper in the preview. So that's a
Might want to go back and fix that.
It is actually a bumper there. There's a trigger and a bumper.
Right.
But,
It's a shoulder
you
button.
know what I mean. You know what I mean.
I
But
also
yeah, you can kind of hold it down and it'll point you to the direction you need to be going. So that kind of keeps the stages.
Doesn't
it keeps
Microsoft
it
have a
moving. It
patent
keeps
on
you from
that?
doing that
Yeah.
weird back and forth shit where you're like, where was I going?
Early opinion. Obviously, it's a preview, so maybe we shouldn't share too much of an opinion. But
I would be
you enjoy
surprised.
playing
I
it?
would be surprised if it's not just quantifiably better than Ninja Gaiden 2. I think the Sigma will make a pretty reasonable difference. I can respect the added value of different characters and mission mode.
Eh.
It's cool that you can do co-op. Would
That's
be
strictly
cooler
for
to
the
be in the
hardcore
campaign.
anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, it was a pretty. I mean, it was a great game before, honestly, with whatever problems it had, whether you dig the camera or not. But it will be better, yeah.
All right. So late last week, the gods of the internet zapped me the new Xbox Live experience. It's definitely not as big an upgrade as the new Xbox Live experience, but there are some cool features in it, and I had a chance to mess with them over the weekend, so I want to talk about that real quickly. As someone who uses Netflix a lot on his 360, but until recently, recently I felt like I kind of gotten to the end of the stuff that they would let you stream. They've really, really improved the Netflix experience on Xbox Live. You can browse all the movies on Netflix right on your machine now, and then you can instantly add them to your queue so you can watch them. So you don't have to go from your PC back to your 360 to get movies queued up. They also release 100 movies in a day on the service. And I don't know, Ryan, maybe you jumped on Netflix this weekend on your 360. Did it seem like to you there was a ton of new movies there? I'm wondering if that was just a part of the new Xbox experience.
I actually I have an iPod Touch and I actually use a Netflix Stream app, so I can just sit on my couch and be really lazy and add stuff to my queue. But they do show stuff that's updated, and yeah, there's a ton of new stuff. It's
this
they do it
weekend
kind of
looked like 100 new
alphabetically,
movies all in one day, which is pretty amazing. Also, the streaming of, a lot of times if you're streaming a movie, and sometimes I don't want to get the cord from the back and run it out to my machine, so I just try to do it wirelessly. And inevitably, a couple points during a movie, it will crap out, and it'll take a minute or 2 minutes to rebuffer. Now that rebuffering process literally takes about a second max.
That's good.
Yeah, it's awesome.
how's the display look? 'Cause I know that
It's in HD. You can
it
stream
streams.
HD movies now from Netflix, and it
You
looks
could do that
great.
before.
Really?
Yeah.
But
I was never able to do it.
You'd have it was based on on your bandwidth,
Yeah.
because it would always buffer down the screen size
Right.
or the resolution based on how much bandwidth you had available.
Well, then I guess I'll put it to you this way. This was the first time I was able to stream an HD movie from Netflix. So I think overall they've improved however they're delivering that content through Xbox Live. I think it's vastly improved in a lot of ways. Another thing you can do is you can download full Xbox 360 games, which isn't going to do much good for someone who has a 20 gig hard drive with a bunch of saves on it, but I have an Elite with a big hard drive, and it's a pretty nice feature to have. You got to wonder.
Pretty big hard drive you got there.
Yeah.
It's elite.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, I
Just
mean,
Elite.
most Xbox 360 games are probably around 5 gigs, something like that. So, I think I could probably end up holding a good many movies on my hard drive if I wanted to, and it'll be interesting to see if the speed for loading has improved, if you just install them straight to the hard drive. I didn't try that yet this weekend, so I don't really know. But
What was the selection like?
I didn't even look.
Oh, okay.
In all honesty, I just looked at the feature and I was like, I don't really have time to get into a game this weekend, so I didn't even check it out. But that feature is there. Community ratings, you can rate everything now. You can rate like any piece of DLC that you have, any full games that you download, any of that stuff. You can rate it now, which is great because it helps the cream rise to the.
But
to the
tell us
top.
about the Twitter support.
Twitter support. I didn't even try that.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that would have been the first thing on my list.
I don't know if it's. there.
They said that's what they were wrapping in.
I don't know if it's there yet.
Oh, okay.
What about the Facebook support? Is that also?
I didn't see that either, because when you first sign into the new Xbox Live experience, there are these things on your dashboard that basically tell you everything that you just got and all the new features, and that was never mentioned, either one of those. So I think maybe that has been put on hold. Maybe I'll check on that when we get out of here and make sure, but I didn't see it anywhere. And then the final feature is all the marketplace stuff, whether you want to download games or get stuff for your avatar or whatever. You can do that all online now if you want to. You don't have to do it on your Xbox machine. So in the rare case you have a spare minute at work, you can go to the marketplace on your computer and you can go and buy stuff. And when you get home, it'll be there on your 360, which is pretty cool. So I guess overall, not really a whole lot of game-changing.
If you buy stuff on the marketplace on your 360 and then you go home, you're going to have to download it to the
Oh, of course,
360.
yeah.
So
It won't automatically download it to your machine.
I'm just clarifying. 'cause
Right.
Even if your machine's on?
I don't know. I didn't try that.
Okay.
So no really real game-changing stuff. Like the avatar stuff, you can buy stuff for your avatar now. There was some pretty funny things, like the clothes, whatever. The props are the cool thing. Like you can get a little RC car, and then like your avatar will have an animation of him like controlling the car, and the car driving around him in circles. There are goofy ones like a chicken with a pulley. Not quite sure what that does yet, but every little
I had one of those as a child.
And they seem to have given you all the
Chicken and a
tools you need
pulley.
to make a pirate. They give you like a telescope and like a pirate. You can buy a pirate hat. I don't know why they did that.
Can you buy a large rubber dildo and run around beating your friends' avatars around the head with it?
No, they did not release that upgrade yet.
Wait for Natal.
But it is kind of sad that
Do that
like
in motion control.
it is kind of sad though that you have to like pay for clothes for your avatar. It's like, come on, man.
I'm sorry, anybody who pays for clothes.
Hey, at
avatar is
home,
fucking sad, period.
people buy stuff for home.
It's like
right?
$1 for a pair of pants, like $1 for a shirt.
I pay that for real clothes. I tell you what, Goodwill down the road, they do a great deal on a Wednesday.
Yeah, so I haven't been able to check out the Facebook or Twitter support yet, which kind of sucks. I didn't see it in there, so maybe it's not ready yet. The other stuff I checked out is all cool, nothing game-changing except for maybe the Netflix stuff. Really like that. The Netflix experience has probably improved twofold by what they've done with this. So, if you have a Netflix account and you have a 360 with a gold membership, I think you're going to be happy. Otherwise, I wouldn't like stay up until midnight to get this update or anything like that. I think you can get up in the morning and get it, and you'll be fine. All right, now we're going to go to the bowels of hell.
Dun dun dun.
Comic-Con.
The bowels of Comic-Con. I'll
Yeah.
never go back again.
But we special guest Patrick Morales
Yes.
and Mike Damiani, who actually took vacation days.
I actually
We
feel
did.
bad talking smack about
To
Comic-Con,
attend.
considering you took a day of vacation to go there.
I did,
Or
yeah.
3.
Yeah.
A few, yeah. A few.
Trace.
Unless you wanted to see Twilight, because I don't think anyone showed up for that one.
Yeah, I felt kind of bad for him.
Yeah.
That panel ruined Thursday of Comic Con.
Yeah, well, it
they
ruined-
were those girls were camping out there since Tuesday morning.
Wow.
And how it works at Comic-Con, you can sit through in the Hall H there, so they don't clear it out. So it filled up to capacity. Like, we got there at like 8 a.m., which is 2 hours before Comic-Con started. They're like, don't bother getting in line. It's full. You're not getting in. I was like, what the hell? It's like 2 hours before Comic-Con.
Why is Twilight so big?
There's
Soccer moms and sheltered girls.
Tweenies.
But why? I mean, there is, from the beginning of time, there have been hundreds of vampire movies.
This
Yeah.
one appeals to tweeny little girls.
Why, though?
Haven't you seen that South Park episode about how Mickey and Disney appeal with the Jonas Brothers? It's kind of like the same thing like that. They're selling sex to little kids and making it okay. As annoying as Twilight fans are, I think Kevin Smith, I went to his panel, he went on this whole little rant about Twilight fans. His little daughter apparently is a really big Twilight fan. And everyone, when we brought up Twilight, everyone booed in the audience. He's like, you know what? He's like, you guys. You know why? Because this has been going on forever. Star Trek fans, how many of you are Star Trek fans? When you see a Star Wars fan, what the hell do? You boo and you yell at them and stuff. This is just the next generation of like nerd wars and stuff.
I don't boo
Nerd
Star
war.
Trek fans.
Apparently nerds do. And he goes to the audience, he goes, you know what, all you guys in the audience here whining about how there are like no female nerds, 6 years when those 12-year-old girls turn 18, you're going to have this huge population of female nerds. They're going to be all hot and stuff.
And all the dudes are thinking, I'll be 35.
A little creepy. I was like, I don't know, dude, that's kind of creepy.
The thing that's interesting about Twilight is if you look at it, just from the con's perspective, if San Diego keeps, pulling these kind of stunts where they're bringing all, the super popular franchises like Twilight to something that's supposed to be just for comics, who knows? Maybe Comic-Con could implode like E3 did, where it became more about the spectacle.
It was
I felt like it imploded already.
125,000 people.
Yeah.
They have to cap it because of
That's like half the population of like Wyoming.
There were way too many people in there, man. Like, they needed to cap it at like maybe like 15,000 people
And it
less.
wasn't
And
that
it
much-
still would have been insane.
Not that much comics. I mean, we keep hearing Pop
Yeah.
Culture Con.
I would even dare say
Celebration,
that
yeah.
most people went there just for the television and movies and
There's some
all
cool
that.
costumes though. Yeah, I mean, some of the best cosplay this side of this hemisphere.
That's the best cosplay I'd ever seen in the U.S.
Yeah.
I'll say that much.
Good Left 4 Dead stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, the Left 4 Dead cosplay was awesome. That's probably the best cosplay I came across the whole time.
I like the 14-year-old girls that have the free hug signs.
Oh god, those are crossovers from
it's a
anime.
trap.
So.
But if you hug me, I'll get arrested.
Harder candy.
Well, let's talk about the games. Obviously, this
Yeah.
is GameTrailers.com.
There were quite a few games, and at least it was all somewhat centrally located. It was all to the left, east, north, I don't know what direction, but it was all smushed on the one side of the hall.
Yeah.
And it was one of the more crowded areas. I mean, when someone was signing for something, it was pretty crowded, but in general, walking through the gaming section was the hardest place
it's
to
mobbed.
walk through.
Yeah.
Capcom-
Because you can do something. And here's my biggest complaint about Comic-Con. There's nothing to do.
You can
Like
buy
it-
stuff.
Right, you can spend money, but at E3, the booths have games you can play. You can go in, you can interact. There's something to do.
And it
the
definitely-
Fox booth, it's just a booth with a bunch of plasma screens with trailers looping. It's
Yeah.
like, what? Why do these people come here?
Because people like getting in line.
They haven't heard about,
But that's why.
trailers.apple.com.
That's why the gaming section is so popular because
no, and
it gives
it's
people
cool.
something to do.
And it is cool to see, I was watching, we were shooting some Halo ODST stuff, and it's cool just to see people like, oh my god, it's Halo. I felt a little bad for the Bungie guys because people were like, is Modern Warfare 2 here? And they're like, read the shirt. But, no, it's cool to
And
see
then they're
everyone's-
like, is Master Chief in the game?
well, I had someone take a photo of me. I had
Yeah?
the game trailers, I was going to say GameCube, Game Trailers mic flag out. Like, you work for Game Trailers? Click. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I definitely have a lot of anecdotes from the show where people recognized us and were like, "Oh, I love game trailers." Blah blah blah. Why are we giving ourselves blowjobs right now? By the way,
Well, there was that one guy who told me to, kick Marcus in the nuts. That's why he's not in this segment right now. He's
he's
recuperating.
kicking himself in the nuts somewhere.
He's nodding in agreement right now. You guys can't see.
I do think, even though it does have stuff for people to do in the gaming section, I think, Patch and I took vacation time. It's cool to see the setups for the booths for those, but personally, like, most of it is just stuff carried over from E3. It was just
Yeah, so there was definitely a lot of repeats from E3. Pretty much everything on the show floor was a repeat, but we went to some behind closed doors stuff, some offsite events, and they showed Clank gameplay for the first time, which is they're kind of taking some inspiration from Braid or that little indie game where you're a mouse cursor and you just spawn yourself a bunch of times. They showed a couple new things for Singularity and Marvel Ultimate Alliance. And Marvel Ultimate Alliance definitely makes sense to be at Comic-Con. They showed a couple new levels for Left 4 Dead and some new weapons and stuff like that, and a new special as well, the Spitter. So there's some cool stuff. They showed off South Park, which we had seen the week before. We had the exclusive on that.
God of War, same build.
God of War,
Yeah.
same build. All the big stuff is the same build. But, like when you see Capcom's booth, which was one of the bigger booths there, they dwarfed Microsoft and Sony's
Why
booths.
was Dead Rising 2 not at Comic-Con? No excuses this time with the swine flu.
Maybe because they didn't show it at E3, they still want to keep it press only before they release it to consumers.
I guess.
But,
It makes perfect sense for Comic-Con.
But Capcom had tons.
They did have the zombie walk.
tons of Japanese developers there.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah.
Jin
So-
Takeuchi was there.
So
That's why I saw that actually on the site, and I'm like, well, then why wasn't...
I don't know. I mean, maybe.
I mean, they had a zombie walk right across from our hotel. There was like 500 people over there dressed like zombies walking down the street. And then the cop pulled up and was like, get off the street.
I guess it's also good, besides being able to play the games there, they also have like the game panels there as well.
Right.
Like they had the Dante's Inferno, Assassin's
Yeah.
Creed 2. And it gets a chance for these fans to actually meet the people making the game.
Oh, yeah,
we
yeah.
get access to them so easily at these press events, but fans get this chance to like go up there and ask a question at the end,
Well,
Some
they
of the
also weren't
questions
able to
are
play these games at E3, so... I
Yeah,
mean,
but some
their
of the
chance to
questions
play.
are so bad. Like, will you sign my box
Or,
for me?
will this character ever go out with this character in this game? Like
Oh my
fans
I didn't
always
hear that, but
Dude, last year at the Resident Evil panel, the Degeneration film one, they had a girl go up there and ask, like, who's Leon supposed to end up with? And the creator basically says, you know what, Leon's a pretty free-spirited guy. He likes to be... The girl just, like,
likes to
cried.
feel.
Leon's a player.
I saw a Leon and Ashley cosplay.
Oh, yeah.
They were,
I saw them
probably,
too.
they were probably my friends, actually.
Nice.
But yeah, that's actually one thing I was really surprised at. Comic-Con had a huge gaming presence in the panels. I think the total tally was something like 40 game-related panels.
Yeah, but then
So,
like
pretty
Assassin's
impressive.
Creed, they showed the same demo they showed at E3, but it's like everybody there needs to go to frickin' GameTrailers.com. Like they watched that demo like they
Well,
had never
maybe-
seen it in their life. They were like, yeah!
We should get a booth next year, and we can just be
Yeah,
like,
like,
save
Why not
time,
a panel?
save valuable time.
yeah,
Here's a laptop with game trailers.
You get a free T-shirt.
the Capcom panel this year, they treated it like no one had ever seen these games before. Like, here's a trailer you've seen at E3. Hopefully, we're introducing you to this game for the first time. I just stood there. I was like, wait a second. Like,
Yep.
And then on Thursday, I went to Fox 5 in San Diego, demoed Wii Sports Resort with the host of their morning show. Really nice guy. He actually kind of backed up my point about the sword fighting in Wii Sports Resort. He almost beat me the first round. He had never played it before. And just picked up and just started waving it like a maniac and literally almost knocked me off. Like I was like, oh. But that was fun. I doubt anybody ever saw it because I don't think Fox 5 is a big deal in San Diego. But it's good to go on the show and meet with the people a little bit. But overall, what would your impressions be of Comic-Con? I'd give it, this is my first Comic-Con ever, and hopefully my last. I'm not even going to rate it. I'll just pass it on to Patrick.
All right. Overall, I'd probably have to scale it down a little this year just because of the whole Twilight debacle. So I'll give it a solid 8-9.
Oh, good.
Gaming-wise, it's probably the biggest it's been at San Diego. So
Yeah, but I think it's
Yeah.
a little weird that the New York Comic Con, which is way smaller but still a big size,
had just about the same
had about the
amount of
same
volume.
amount of games
Yeah.
and actually kind of fresher stuff at the time.
But maybe
yeah,
they
that's
needed to
true.
like fill out the show for New York Comic Con as well.
It's still pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll bump it up to a 9.2 overall for gaming-wise. Yeah.
What about you, Damiani?
I hate waiting in lines, and I hate waiting in lines and not getting into stuff. And I felt this year it was harder to get into stuff. I don't know how it could have been more crowded because they cap it, but I did get to meet Hayao Miyazaki and John Lasseter in person. So that kind of bumped it up a little bit, and Kevin Smith kind of redeemed the con with his hour panel. But I think I had a better time last year. So last year was probably the best Comic-Con I went to. I give that an A. So this one, probably B-.
We can't jump scales here. He
Okay,
gave it a,
8.2.
Okay.
Oh, I'm going to jump this scale. I'm giving it 2 Shadow Cats and 1 Jubilee.
And half a Wolverine.
No Wolverines.
Wolverine.
No Snicks.
I think that was the odd part for me, is that all the stuff that was there I love. I love movies, I love comics, I love games, and I'm just puzzled as to how I had such an awful time. All right, so sort of rolling on from the Comic-Con theme, EA pulled another PR stunt at Comic-Con, and this one backfired even worse than the fake Christian people that were out in the outside of E3 complaining about Dante's Inferno.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with EA right now, especially the Dante's Inferno team. I mean, they normally they don't go down the controversy route. They do good, standard, efficient, pretty good level PR. You know, they'll do stuff like Tiger Woods playing golf in Times Square. They'll do stuff with Madden and so on and so forth. But after E3, these fake religious protesters, they were so obviously fake. I mean, they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
And then this whole thing where they had Sin to Win at Comic-Con, and the whole poster was basically, the text for the competition written across a bird's cleavage. And they were encouraging people to get their photographs taken with other booth babes from other companies at the show, and send the pictures in via Twitter, and the winner would win, and I quote, a night of lust with the hottest booth babe at Comic-Con.
Now, how are they judging the photos? What were you supposed to do? Because that's very important.
Yeah, you were supposed to get a little bit raunchy with them.
Oh, you were?
That's my understanding. The thing is that one, it pissed off a lot of other companies. It pissed off a lot of booth babes because, let's face it, we've seen this happen at E3 and at Comic-Con. We're not talking about any professionals dealing with anybody else. We're talking about Joe Public. And Joe Public, at his lowest common denominator, is a stupid who has no personal boundaries. So, I've been reading reports on Ars Technica about girls getting stalked, girls getting felt up on the booths, overtly felt up. I mean, it's like guys grabbing their tits and everything.
Wow.
Which I think, doesn't happen at E3, thank God, because again, people to a certain degree, you keep Joe Public out, and you have to be respectable.
Right, because you have someone to answer to, ultimately.
Exactly. And this just smacks of, I don't know if they're trying to be controversial, but they're doing it so ineptly.
Well, I think there's a lot of Neanderthals out there that look at women, and if they're dressed like that, they look at that as their invitation to do whatever they want.
And a lot of the people who go to Comic-Con, unfortunately, well, not a lot of people, there are a section of people who go to Comic-Con who don't actually experience a woman outside of a comic book or a movie or a video game.
You're right, and you can see it on their faces. Whenever they're like, hey, can I get a picture? Like, their face lights up like a frickin' Christmas tree. Like, oh my God, I'm going to touch this girl.
And touch they do, and yeah, so I've been reading reports of inappropriate groping and everything. And this Night of Lust thing that was there, was supposed to be the prize, it was basically just going out to dinner and a party with the EA reps. But the way
that's what it was? There was no booth babe there on the...
I think there might have been a booth babe around, but it was like, a couple of EA reps.
She was wearing jeans and like a button-up shirt.
She was wearing a hazmat suit, I think. But yeah, I don't know what's up with this particular team. They seem to be hell-bent on creating the wrong kind of controversy, and if they carry on down this road, they'll kill the game. They'll kill the buzz for the game because people get sick of it. There are ways to create controversy, and there are ways to do it right and the ways to do it wrong. I mean, I remember the old days of Acclaim where, they
Acclaim Europe.
Acclaim Europe, where they offered to pay people £1,000 if they called their kids Turok.
Yeah.
Didn't they buy gravestones?
They bought gravestones, and then there was the Carmageddon stuff where they offered to pay everybody speeding tickets for
abortion
a day.
Tokens.
Yeah, I mean, that sort of stuff just sets the industry back. I mean, yeah, I've done my fair share of dull-ass PR stunts in my time, but this just takes the piss.
But you know where it comes from? It comes from because every meeting right now, especially with the way this economy is, like, I know every meeting I go into, someone says to me, we need something that's never been done before. Every client, everybody will not spend money unless it's on something that's never been done before, and there's nothing ever close to it that's been done before. So you sit in these meetings and you're constantly brainstorming, trying to come up with these crazy ideas, and now I can totally see what happened here. Someone came up with that idea. First thought, it probably sounds like a decent idea. Nobody went that extra level.
That's the thing. You've got to go to thought 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 to figure out the problems. I mean, yeah, if you're going to try and generate controversy, at least do it properly. This is just going to, this is so transparent. It's not even funny. It's actually kind of sad and disappointing from a company of EA stature. I know I've slagged them off in the past, and I have issues with their PR people when they don't return my calls. But in general, the PR they do, the Madden stuff, is generally of a good quality standard, and it actually portrays the games industry in a really good light.
Here's the bigger question, really, though. EA, up until recently, hadn't done a lot of M-rated games. They had always played it safe with T-rated games. Recently, the last few years, they really started doing a lot of M-rated games. If it wasn't for the M-rated game, this stuff wouldn't be happening. So you wonder if the people, the stockholders, the bigwigs at EA now are looking at this and like, maybe this wasn't such a good idea. Well, because this is the kind of stuff they were trying to shield themselves from before.
The thing I'll say is if you're going to do M-rated games, get people who are qualified in launching M-rated titles.
Right.
People like, the guys who launched Scarface for Vivendi, Matt Frary. That guy could do M-rated in his sleep, and he does it, and they're all kind of cool and a little bit cheesy, but they get good coverage. I mean, if you want to do those sort of stunts. Don't go with somebody who's obviously fresh out of school or somebody who's come from the sports team or the Sims team, and they're like, well, let's have religious protesters. Okay, and they're only going to turn up for 1 hour because that's all we can afford on the budget.
And you're going to have to tip off people to let them know they're there, otherwise they won't know that they're there. Yeah.
And let's have booth babe people take pictures of booth babes and send them to us. So we're going to get pictures of other companies' booth babes sent to us, and the winner is the person who gets the most fresh. So we're going to piss off all the booth babes. We're going to piss off everybody else.
Truth be told, though, I mean, if I had pitched that to you in a meeting, would you really have thought that people would be such big scumbags that they would grope women? I mean,
dude, I know.
I mean, I wouldn't. Honestly, if someone pitched that in a meeting, I would have never jumped to the conclusion of, some of the people that go to Comic-Con are antisocial and don't really have a lot of chance to touch women, so if we do this, they're going to run up and, like, grab some girl's boobs. Like, I would never think that would happen.
I would, unfortunately, because having done events where, we've done events with the public and stuff, and people, they will cross the line and stuff. E3 was bad a couple of years ago, and they saw the end of the booth babes for a while, because the public started coming in, and they were really relaxed with regards to, who they let in, and you'd have people who had no business being there, and, I had, on occasion, I had to go and eject people off our booth for, bothering our girls. And I don't use the word booth babe as a derogatory term.
Right.
I mean, these guys, promotional models, whatever you want to call them, at the end of the day, they do.
It's
do
a term
good
everyone
job.
understands. So
Yeah,
they can.
they're there to add sex appeal. That's fine, but it's like the strip clubs in LA. It's look, do not touch.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, didn't one of the girls actually write in and like?
Yeah, she posted on Ars Technica.
But she was kind of out of bounds as well, because she was assuming that, well, just because I dress like this at a show, it doesn't mean I'm trying to be sexy. I can't remember what her quote was, but
She was a little bit all over the shop, but the basic premise was, it's stuff I've heard come from, other PR people that I know who've had events where it's like, yeah, I've had this creepy guy hanging around the booth trying to chat me up, and when I did the E3 booth babe interview, I mean, there was some creepy guys who were talking and coming back to the girls time and time again.
yeah.
A lot of people don't understand the boundaries, and I think EA was reckless at this. And if they want to go down this route, they need to get some PR experts in who know their with regards to doing the controversial stuff and doing it so that it pays off in a positive manner, which sounds like an oxymoron, but there are ways and means to do this.
Yeah, this might be one case where hiring from within probably isn't the best practice when all the people who are within have been working on T and E-rated games the whole time.
Exactly.
You'll never get the girl, Dante.
That's it. Episode 68 in the books. But before we go, we have one thing to tie up from last week. Last week I asked you guys, what should I do? Should I get the limited edition, collector's edition Doc Lewis's Punch-Out with my Nintendo points? Or should I get the Mario hat?
No.
Oh, and our survey said,
Survey said.
you get the hat, bitch.
I know.
Which means you have to order the hat really quickly, because I would like to have a picture of that before you go off to Cologne, Germany, to do the show in Germany at the end of the month. So
I'm actually not going to Germany.
Oh,
so
even
I will
better.
Be
He'll be
So-
racing his new car around PCH.
exactly.
wearing his Mario hat.
It was almost unanimous. In fact, apparently I didn't see anyone say I should get the game, but Marcus says he saw a couple
There
people
were a
say
couple
that.
of people, and I think they were just being contrary just for the fun of it, because every other line was hat, 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 hat,
I
hat.
think, in honesty, like the hat's the right choice. It's actually something that's
It's a collector's item.
it's a collector's item. It's something you can hold. I don't know what I'll do with it once I have it.
You'll be wearing it so we can take a picture.
I'll
of
wear
on
it
the show.
once for a picture. I promise, since I did promise last week that I would.
And a red shirt and overalls and a big mustache.
We're not going to go that far. But anyway, thank you guys for voting. I think you guys made the decision for me. I was kind of torn on it, but I think you guys made the right choice. So thanks. Next week, episode 69. Definitely have some surprises in store for you guys.
I think we have some cunning linguists on the show next week.
If you hold 69 upside down, it's still a 69.
Kind of like the yin and the yang, right?
Do you want to know why? Well, do you want to know why most porn stars can't count to 70? Because 69 is such a mouthful.
And with that, Invisible Walls out.
You'll never get the girl.